cool. All right. Are you in Georgia yet?
No, I'm in South Carolina.
Very cool. Okay. There's nice highways there, I think. It's good riding over there. All right. So we're in the middle of we're starting Chumash. So today is Thursday, and we're getting to the end of Parshas Chukas. Ooh, and before I do this, I need to show you a map, actually. So on our screen, you can see a big mountain over there. I got it from Wikipedia. I don't know how correct it is, but I'm going to show you another map, another picture. And according to at least some of these websites, what you're looking at is Har HaHar, is the mountain on top of the mountain, where Aaron is buried. So there's other pictures. I'm not sure which one's correct and which one's not. But anyway, I wanted to share with you, we're going to discuss Aaron's passing away. And according, you could look, they believe they know today where it was. After we learn about, I'm just going to show you the rest of the Chumash now because I have the WhatsApp open. I'm going to show you something interesting. So after we learn about Aaron's passing, the clouds of glory are going to disappear. Remember how we learned the other day when Miriam passed away, the well that came in her merit disappeared? Well, when Aaron passes away, the clouds of glory are going to disappear. And there's one nation that always hates the Jews. No matter what, if they find a pretext or an opportunity or a method to kill the Jews, they will. And we know what protected the Jews in the desert the whole time: the clouds of glory. Well, since Aaron died, passed away, and the clouds of glory disappeared, now the Jews were open for fair game. So the Amalekites living in Israel travel all the way from like the southern part of Israel to where the Jews were at quite a distance in order to attack them. This is the second time they want to attack them. They attacked them right when they came out of Egypt. I don't know if you guys remember learning the Chumash together. When Moshe was the leader, the Amalekites attacked the Jews. And now the clouds are gone. They didn't win then. They're going to try attack them, and they're going to win now. I don't know if you remember the story. Moses held his hands up. We discussed it at another time. Anyway, so now they travel all the way to Mount Har. You can see in the map. And that is where the Jews currently are, where Aaron passes away and there's no clouds. And the Jews fight them and they win and they destroy them. And then they go back up to their cities, to where the Amalekites came from, and they attack the Amalekites on the way. And they promise Hashem, we're going to see in the Chumash, and they donate all the money, all the objects, and the cities to Hashem, and they call it Charma. You see there's a place there on the map called Charma, which means like a donation. We'll see when we get to the Chumash. And they donate all the items that they got from the city, and they win the war. But meanwhile, something terrible happens. The Jews have had enough, because here the clouds disappeared. They're being attacked by Amalek. Aaron's passing away, and they're not going into Israel because they were supposed to go north, and now they're going south because the Edomites didn't let them in, as we learned in yesterday's Chumash, and they decided, that's it, we had enough, we are going back to Israel. And as I was reading this, I was thinking, there's no more clouds. So you couldn't follow the clouds anymore, which they will get back the clouds, actually. But the Jewish people were in a very bad, depressed situation. And they end up retreating back from where they came from. Very interesting. And they go back 7 steps. 7 steps. They're heading back. We're not dealing with this. We had enough of this, Moses. We're done. Aaron passed away. Miriam passed away. The clouds was an issue. We can't go in anymore. The Edomites don't let us to go in. The Amalekites are attacking us. We're done. And they actually go back 7 places back. They start heading back. And you have here the map of where they went back along the Sea of Reeds, that going back to Egypt. It's a funny way how to go back to Egypt, but they're starting to go back to Egypt. They're going back the way they came from. And the Levites try fighting them and stopping them, and many people die. Anyway, we're going to get some of that story in today here, but I just wanted to share the map with you. Eventually, they will get back on track, and they'll mourn Aaron for 30 days, and they're going to get back on track and start circumventing, going around the Edomites after another story where snakes will bite them, and you'll see all that in today's Chumash. So let us get started. Now that we had some of the maps, let us get started with the... wrong thing. We're going to go back to the Chumash now that we had the maps. Okay. Vayisu Mikadesh, and they traveled from the city of Kadesh, because Kadesh was where they asked the Edomites, their cousins, the children of Esav, to please let them through, and they told them no, and they gathered their army, and so they're starting to go south, even though they want to go to Israel north. Too bad. Edomites are not letting you in. We have to go around, all the way, travel a long distance down to the southern part border and go around them. And the whole Jewish people came to Har HaHor, to Mount Har, which is called Har HaHor, which is a mountain on top of a mountain. Now Rashi tells us the term here, 2 points Rashi makes on this verse. One is it says the whole congregation traveled. Of course, the whole congregation traveled. Why are you telling me that the whole congregation traveled? The Jewish people traveled. You're probably including who you're leaving behind over there. You know, what does it mean the Jewish people are traveling? So Rashi says that the people that were there now were all the ones that were going to go into Israel. They were all pure. Everyone that died passed away. These people, and I think even some people believe that the people who died in the desert will not get a portion in the world to come. These people that are with us now all together, they're all going into Israel, and they're all getting a portion in the world to come. They're not part of the original part of the Jews. Those people have died, passed away, and now we have new people, and this is our new group all together, journeying together. And they went on this mountain. Rashi describes the mountain. It's an interesting looking mountain. It was one mountain on top of another mountain. So that was a funny kind of a mountain. Now, Rashi asks an interesting question. He says, didn't we learn that the clouds had a very unique job? If you remember, they would wash the clothes of the people, and then they would kill the scorpions, or the ark did some of that, whatever. What did the mountains do? We learned this at one point a while ago, that the clouds would travel ahead of the Jews, and it would flatten out all the terrain so that the Jewish people could walk on like straight terrain. Could you imagine otherwise the mountainous area having to go up and down? How are you carrying 3 million people? Especially, remember, they were traveling in formation of 12 kilometers by 12 kilometers. How in the world are you getting to if there's not clear terrain? So remember, we learned the clouds would water the area, and there would be some vegetation by the time the Jews would get there, and it would also flatten the terrain so the people could travel nicely. So how is there a mountain on top of a mountain? Rashi asks. In the way, I thought the cloud flattens it out. And Rashi says very interesting. He says, look, it flattened out all the mountains, besides for 3 mountains it didn't flatten out because they were necessary. What is one famous mountain? Mount Sinai. You needed to have Mount Sinai. Another famous mountain is this mountain that we're discussing here. And the third one is where Moshe will be buried. So they need a place to bury Aaron. They need a good place to bury Moshe. And they need a place to give the Torah. And those 3 mountains, Rashi says, very interesting here, will not be flattened out. Continuing right along with our story, verse 23. Vayomer Hashem al Moshe, so Hashem tells to Moshe, when they get to the mountain, on top of a mountain, to that unique mountain, Aaron and to Aaron, Har HaHor, at this mountain, the mountain on top of a mountain, this unique mountain called Har HaHor, Al Gvul Eretz Edom, that was in the border, on the tip, because they traveled now south to the tip, to the edge of the land of the Edomites, which they couldn't go through. Lamar saying that you're going to die, and he's going to tell him in the next verse that you're going to die. Rashi says something interesting. It seems that, why are you telling Aaron he's going to die right after telling him that you are on the border of the Edomites? And Rashi says that they're connected. And the connection is that because the Jews were living next to this wicked, evil person, the Edomites, the children of Esav, they started doing business with them. And they started having connection with them. And guess what? Just like Ira, you were telling us before, they started learning from those people that they were around. And unfortunately, you don't want to learn from Esav, from those people. And what happens? What happens when you start doing business with Esav, when you start doing with these people? And they didn't need to do business with them. They had their own food. They had, the Jewish people had their own the clouds of glory. Not the clouds of glory was still there at the time, and they had the manna coming down from heaven. But no, they wanted to associate them, become friends, rub shoulders, join the golf club, whatever, with the Esav people. And we know what happens when a Jew puts himself in that situation. And therefore, I saw an interesting commentary explained it like this. The clouds of glory protected the Jews, and the Jews went out of the clouds of glory to go and hang out with the people from Esav, instead of staying in the clouds of glory. So Hashem said, you know what? I'm going to remove the clouds of glory now from you. You're not staying within my protection, and what I protected for you, I'm going to take it away. And therefore, Aaron will pass away because of him. It's the one that there's clouds of glory. Let's see verse 24. Yasef Aaron Alamav. So God tells Moshe, now is the time, for whatever reason, the reason we said, because your Jews were people were doing sins and it wasn't whatever. And the bottom line is Aaron will be gathered to his people, meaning a nice way of saying it's his time for his passing. Because Aaron will not make it into Israel. He's not anyway getting into Israel. The land that I'm going to give to the Jews. Because you and him were involved in the water dispute, the whole story with it said to talk to the rock and you hit it. I'm not sure, by the way, what Aaron's fault was here, because it seems to be Moshe's fault. I don't know why they're both responsible. I don't know the answer to that. But the bottom line is that Hashem is saying you and Aaron, that Aaron, you already told you, and Aaron you should know is not going into Israel. Maybe Moses didn't know till now that Aaron's not going into Israel, but God told Moses Aaron is not going to Israel, and I decided that here and now is the place where Aaron needs to pass away. So what do I want you to do? Verse 25, Kakas Aaron. So God tells to Moses, take Aaron and his son, Vesalazar Benoi, take his son Elazar, Vahal Oisam, and go up together, Hor to this special mountain over here. And whenever we say the word kach, take, we always say, sell it, explain how good it is, how lucky you are in beautiful ways. Say, Aaron, you're very lucky to pass away in this way. Why? Why are you lucky to pass away like this? Because you get to see in your lifetime, because he's going to remove the Kohanic clothes on Aaron and put it on his son. What's a father's greatest wish? What's a dying person's greatest wish? They want to know. I actually asked somebody that we were very close before the person's passing. And we spoke a lot, and he said, my greatest wish is I want to know my family's taken care of. That's what I want to know. What's the greatest thing for Aaron? That he could see that his son, he was a successful father. He raised his son to be a good boy, right? And the honor and greatness will be bestowed that was on him, will be on his son. So Aaron is very lucky. Moses, tell Aaron, sell it to him, explain it to him, tell how beautiful it is, that he's so lucky that he gets to see his child taking on his father's leadership that he had, the holy position that he had. Verse 26, and you're going to take off Aaron's clothes. Which clothes? The priestly holy clothes, right? That were unique, that only the high priest could wear. And you're going to put them on the son. And Rashi says exactly what happened. He says, tell him, go into the cave. You're going to go in the mountain, tell him, go into the cave. And Aaron went into the cave. And he saw miraculously a made bed there, and a lit candle. And tell Aaron, go on that bed. And Aaron will go on the bed. Or he went, yeah. Tell Aaron, spread out your hands. And he spreads out his hands. He says, close your mouth. And he closes his mouth. Close your eyes. Closes his eyes. And Moshe right away when that happened was like, oh my gosh, I wish I could die in this way. I wish I could have this way. As Rashi says. And God will give Moses the same kind, right? The most peaceful way of dying. And Moses wanted it, and that's what ended up happening. Okay. A lot more commentaries on this, but we're doing just the Chumash and the Rashi. Verse 27. Moses did exactly as Hashem said. He goes up on the mountain. In front of all the Jewish people. They see Moses, Aaron, and Elazar going up on this big mountain. Now Rashi says this is an amazing thing because this is Moses' brother. You'd want to push it off a little bit. God, listen, give me another week. Let me spend some time with my brother Aaron. Let's spend some time together. No. Moses does whatever Hashem says right away, even though it's very hard for them. So he goes up on the mountain. Moses takes off Aaron's clothes. And he takes these holy priestly garments and puts it on Aaron's son, his nephew Elazar, Benoi, the son of Aaron. Yamas Aaron Sham, and Aaron passed away there. Beroy Shahar, on the top of the mountain. And what happens? So 3 men went up. 2 men come down. Moshe and Elazar are coming down on Har. They're coming down from the mountain to the Jewish people. So meanwhile, all the Jewish people see what's going on. Vayiru kol ha'am, and everybody saw ki gava Aaron, that Aaron had expired. Rashi says it wasn't so simple. They saw 3 guys going up, and they saw 1 guy coming down. So they tell him, what do you do with the 3rd guy? Where is Aaron? What happened to him? So Moses and Elazar say he died. So they say, no. It can't be. You know what Aaron did? Do you remember when there was a plague among the Jewish people? Do you remember what happened? And 14,700, I think, was the number of people dying of the plague. And Aaron took a frying pan with spices on it, and he held the angel of death. You think that guy died? No. Moses, something else, some fishy stuff is going on here. Don't tell us the story that the guy died. So Moses saw he was in big trouble, I guess, because I don't know, maybe they're trying to make whatever. A lot of terrible things can happen from this. So Moses right away said, God, or the angels of heaven, he asked from Moses asked mercy, and the angels of heaven showed the image of Aaron dead, showed them the bed that they could see it, and they believed it. They believed it. So it wasn't so simple to convince the Jews that the guy who stopped the angel of death, he himself died. And everybody died, and everybody, Aaron, they cried for Aaron, Shloishim Yaim, for 30 days they cried for Aaron. Kol Beis Yisrael, who cried for Aaron? Everybody, the men and the women. And the reason, as we discussed in our Tuesday night class we had, was because Aaron was an awesome, amazing person. He would make peace. As I said in the Tuesday night class, two guys were in a big fight. What happens when you're in a big fight? Nobody wants to come down from their high horse and be the one to apologize to him sorry, and therefore they could fight for the next 50 years because nobody wants to say I'm sorry. So Aaron would go to one guy and say, your friend really feels bad what he did, he's just embarrassed to come to you, and he would go to the other friend and say, your friend, and basically he literally saved families, relationships, husband and wives, children were born because he saved marriages. And it was such a devastating blow to people, this death of Aaron, that literally for 30 days all the Jewish people prayed for Aaron. And that's very interesting, Rashi. We'll continue right along. So what happens? Aaron passes away and the clouds of glory are gone. So the next episode of danger takes place. Amalekites hate Jews. That is how they're wired. There's nothing to do about it. There's probably nothing you could do about it. In other words, they're not anti-Semites for any reason. They're in their blood, they're anti-Semites. Esav told his son Eliphaz to kill Yaakov, and then he told his grandson Amalek, your job is to kill the Jews. And when the Jews came out of Egypt, first opportunity they had, comes Amalek, travels all the way from Israel south down to attack and kill the Jews, is not successful. Now that the clouds of glory are gone, try to, right? And they're going to try and kill the Jewish people. That's what takes place. It shows you in a way that there's just some people that you cannot make peace with. There's always going to be a hatred there. But Yishma Kanani and the Canaanites heard that Aaron died. Good news for them, and that their clouds are not protecting them. And Amalek, as soon as they get their opportunity, they will kill the Jews. As long the Jews' hands are strong, they're going to wait for them to be done, and that's where they're going to do the job that they want to do. Now, it's a little bit funny, as Rashi says here, because it calls them Canaanites, but the Amalekites are not really Canaanites. I'll tell you why. There's a different family tree. If you look at the family tree, if you go to what is that website called? Your lineage. They're different families. The Canaanites were children from Cham, from one son of Noach, but the Amalekites were actually family too. They were grandchildren of Esav, the Edomites. They were actually children from Esav, grandchildren from Esav, who came from Yitzchak and Avraham, and so on. So, are they Canaanites or they Amalekites? Which one are they? If they're Amalekites, they come from the same son as Abraham, as the Jews come from Shem. And if they're Canaanites, and they come from Cham. So which one are they? So he says that they knew that the Jews, how are they successful? They always pray. They daven to Hashem, and they would say to Hashem, God save us. And protect us from the Amalekites. So they said, here's what we're going to do. We're going to dress up like Canaanites. We're going to talk the language of Canaanites. We're going to make a farce. And the Jews are going to pray, God save us from the Canaanites. And really, we're Amalekites. And then God won't save them, because the whole way the Jews are always successful is not because they're good warriors. They're not good at that at all. They're just good at praying. And we're going to trick their prayer, and then we're going to end up winning the war. Interesting strategy. I guess when you're dealing with the Jews, that's the strategy you got to take, because they're powerful in prayer. But it doesn't work, because the Jews sense out and smell that something's wrong, because they look like Amalekites, but they're dressed like Canaan. They look like Canaanites, but they speak like Amalekites. Even though they learned a new language, they sensed out that these guys were spies. They weren't the real deal, and they ended up praying to Hashem, God, we're not sure who these people are, but just save us from them. And Hashem, as we'll see soon, will end up saving them. Anyway, so they're coming down from their city, which they're in the south of Israel, in the country of Canaan at the time. Kiva Yisrael derech hasarim, because the Jews, they got very angry, because the Jews were sending spies up to Israel, or that they saw the ark always traveling 3 days ahead of the Jews, making the way for them, and that made their blood boil. Lachem Yisrael, so they went out to attack a war against the Jewish people. And they captured one person out of the whole army. Never in any wars, it seems till now at least, was any Jew ever captured in battle. This is the one time that one person was captured in battle. And Rashi says, you want to know who that person is? It wasn't even a Jewish person. It was a maidservant that, according to some commentaries, was even part of the Amalekites originally, and they captured back their maidservant back from the Jewish people. So that was the attack. That's as far as their success got them. So what happens? The Jewish people are under attack. Vayida Yisrael, verse 2, the Jewish people make a promise. Nedel Hashem, a promise to God. Vayomer, and they say to God, God, if you just give me these people, let us win this war. I will consecrate, I will donate, I will give to you, Hashem, all the booty, all the stuff that we will get from the city. It will be holy, and to you, Hashem, the city, and so on. They're going to call the city Haram, as I showed you on the map before. Verse 3, so God listened to the voice of the Jews, and he gave them over the Canaanites, and they donated all the possessions, and they killed them all, and they donated their cities, and they called the city Charma, like I showed you on the map before. Okay, that's the end of the story. However, a disaster strikes the Jewish people because they had enough. They had enough. 38 years in the desert. They're trying to get to the country finally, and the Edomites are not letting them in, and the Amalekites are attacking them, and Aaron's dying, and the clouds are not here, and they say, enough, Moshe, we're out of here. We are retreating. We're going back to where we came from. That's verse 4. Yisu mehar hahar, and they leave the mountain on a mountain, the special mountain, Derech Yamsuf, going back to Egypt by way of the Red Sea, the river over there, the sea, the ocean over there. This way, it's Edom, to go away from the land of Edomites, because they were not going straight to Israel through the way they wanted to go, because the Edomites were letting them through, and they just had enough from this trip. The Tiksar Nefesh Madarach, and their, I'm sorry, let me start over again. The way to read the verses, they traveled around the Edomites, and because they couldn't go through, and they had enough, a Tiksar Nefesh Madarach, and the people got disheartened. They got low in breath. The trip is taking too long, and so on. So, and for all the reasons Rashi says, Aaron died, and there's a war, and they go back, and they think they're going back because by the spies, remember, by the spies, they had to take a break for 38 years, travel in the desert, and it looks like they're taking the same route, and they think they're going to go again for another 38 years in the desert in order to retravel the same 38 years, and they just had it. We're not going through the same 38 years again. We're just going back to Egypt, and they go and they take off a run on the way back to Egypt. And at one place there, after the 7 stops, as I told you, Rashi doesn't bring this over here, but the tribe of Levi went out to attack them, to stop them from going. They basically had to fought them, and they warned them, they'll kill you if you don't stop going. Basically, we're not going back to Egypt, we're going to Israel. And it ends up being 7 stops, and when they get to the 7 stops, they finally come to their senses. Over there, that's where they mourn for Aaron for 30 days over there. Okay. Let's go on. So what happens next? So what do they do? And they're also fed up and they're tired and so on. And the people start to speak bad about God, because what do? You complain, right? When things aren't going well, you complain about everything. And here's their complaint. Why did you take us out of Egypt? And they're complaining against God and Moses together. The same package deal, as Rashi says. They're upset at both of them. Why did you do God? Why did you do Moses? Why did you take us out here? Lamos b'midbar, for us to die in the desert. Ke'ein lachem, there's no bread. Ve'ein mayim, there's no water. V'nafshenu katza b'lechem ha'kiloikel, and we are disgusted by the disgusting food, the rotten bread that you're giving us, this manna that you're giving us. Now, why did they call the manna rotten, like lightweight, basically? And he says something interesting. He's saying, and if I understand this correctly, it's very interesting about the manna. The Jews did not have to go to the bathroom. I guess you could ask that question. Where do 3 million people go to that? How do they have outhouses or places to go in the desert? But it's a good question if you would ask it. But since the food wasn't normal, regular food, I guess it's like living on vitamins or something. You can figure out a way that there's really no it's I guess it's pure. There's no excrement. There's no, when you eat, the body has to break up the good from the bad. The body didn't have to break up the good from the bad. It was all good and just was absorbed right into the bloodstream, into the bones, into the body, into the limbs. It was absorbed, and they didn't have to go to the bathroom. And they weren't so happy about it because they were scared that their stomachs will explode eventually from not going to the bathroom from eating this kind of food. And that's how they're describing the manna. And the Jews are angry and they're not happy with what's going on. So what does God do? Vayishlach Hashem ba'am. Hashem sends in the nation as a nechoshim hasrafim venomous snakes. Vayinashchu as and venomous. You imagine like cobras or whatever, all kinds of snakes are biting the people. And we all know how poisonous these snakes are. Yamas Avram Yisrael, and people start dropping dead. People start dying from the poison. So the poison enters somehow there's a lot of snakes, and people are getting bitten all over the place, and people are dying. People are even dying from not just from snakes. Now we're going to see soon, like even some other animals, dogs, dangerous dogs, or donkey, I think. Now, why specifically the snake, though? Mainly the snake. So Rashi has a very interesting interpretation on what the snake specifically biting them for their punishment. The snake is very famous for gossip, for speaking bad, I guess, with the tree of knowledge and that whole story, and he got punished for making up a story. So Hashem is taking the guy who speaks bad, who speaks evil, and does damage with his words. That animal is going to be the way to teach the Jews a lesson that you guys are speaking, gossiping about evil and God, Moshe and Hashem, and it's not even true. That's one reason why the snake. Rashi has another very interesting reason about the snake. A snake, I don't know if you know this, I don't know if science can prove this today, but everything tastes the same to a snake. A snake's palate, or not palate, but the mouth, does not taste differences between different foods or whatever it eats. Everything tastes the same as the snake. And these Jews, God gave them food that only had good elements, that went straight into their body. They didn't need to go to the bathroom. Look what God did for them. And instead of being happy, they're spitting in God's face. They're instead of saying, wow, look at a miracle Hashem did, it's backfiring, and they're saying how bad Hashem is when they should really be saying how good Hashem is. So here, we're going to have the steak that can't taste anything, that's more appreciative than you in a way, and he's going to be the one to bite you because you're complaining about what you have. Don't complain. You have very good situation that you're in. And the snake who doesn't have your situation, everything tastes the same, let him be the one to bite you. So people are starting to die. Verse 7, and they come to Moshe, they realize they made a mistake. We sinned, Moshe. We spoke, we gossiped about you and about God. We didn't learn a lesson. Hashem, please, Moses, pray to God. And let God remove these snakes. Moshe davened for the people. Now, Rashi says etiquette. There's a lesson in etiquette from this last verse. What is a lesson in etiquette? That if someone asks you forgiveness, you will always have to forgive the person. It could be light and whatever. When someone asks you, then they're sincere and they regret it and they just bashed the guy. You can imagine, somebody bashes somebody else and comes the next day and someone forgives him. Well, if the guy's sincere and there's more halachas how to learn this, then a person should be, our style and etiquette is that a person should always be forgiven. So how's Hashem going to heal him? And this is a famous thing which people say on the doctors or the EMTs on their sides. Too bad Ayal's not here today. Have this snake on a stick. Some people say it comes from here. Let's see. So Hashem says to Moshe, here's what I want you to do. Asay lecha saraf, make a serpent, fashion out a image of a serpent. See my say on lace and put it high on a stick, like a sign. Everybody should see it, like a flag, kind of. I think that's how people call flags in a way, too nace. Bahaya kalanashuch, whoever's bitten, and they're gonna die, they have poison going through their bones, they have the venom going through their body. Should come and look at it, and miracles of miracles, he will live. And if Rashi says, if you're bitten by a dog or a donkey, okay, it's a slow death. You have a little time, but the guy's by a snake, you gotta check. You gotta get this thing going. People are gonna look, so they won't die, because dying from venom is a very quick death. Yes, Moshe Nachash. So Moshe goes and makes the snake out of copper, images out of copper on a stick, right? Doesn't that remind you of like on the EMTs and these ambulances, those pictures? They see him, he places it high in the stick. Whoever got bitten by the snake, as each v'hibit, he went to the stick and he steers at the snake. Nachash and Nachoshes v'chay, and he'll end up living. Rashi says God never told Moses to make it a copper snake. However, Moses says Nachash sounds like copper, which is Nachoshes, and therefore we're going to call it the Nachash. Nachoshes will be the one that he will do. There's a lot of commentaries on this. Why is it that Hashem wanted the snake? They're bitten by the snake, and this is a snake that's high up. But anyway, that's the way the remedy took place. Any questions or comments on today's very interesting Chumash? Shoki Manishma.